I'm also with children of alcoholism. Both of my parents were alcoholics, which didn't help my mom get through her depression easier. And I think that every time I touch the subject, or even when I come to work and they ask me, so how was your weekend? Oh, dealing with my mother again, and for it opens the door for them to share it and disclose information. Once they see that somebody else is wearing the same shoes, is going through the same challenges, it's taking that first step. And I've noticed that ever since I take the initiative, whether it's with the youth, whether it's at work, whether it's in a community event or in church, and I open the floor to the conversation, people are not as much as in denial anymore that they used to be. And I'm pretty happy of that, especially when it comes to the youth, because, again, if I would have noticed earlier, my life would have been different. Maybe, maybe not, but I know it would have been easier to go through it. So it's very nice and to see that there has been different. I always look at my oldest son, Joey. Joey's like the oddball of the family. He's
normal.
He's the normal kid. He's the oddball.
Yeah.
And then in the same token, he's the one that has that drive and motivation to do what he wants to do whenever he wants to do it, despite of how people feel about him. So I think indirectly he has given us also the energy and that motivation to say, you know what? Yes, I am who I am. Interestingly, and I had a gut feeling, but interestingly, when Joseph came out as homosexual, I think that really gave all of us in the family
More courage.
more courage to deal with everything. When Joseph came out, and he, not necessarily proud of what he was, but this is who I am, and people would have to take me for what I am. I'm like, wow, okay. Meanwhile, I'm still dealing with the stigma and the denial stage when it comes to having a son who's homosexual. In the terms of, wow, Joey, you do track. How are they going to see you now different in the lockers, in the rooms? Even when we had the open house in college, oh my God, when you had to share your door and they found out you're gay. All these questions kicking in, coming in, and Joey's like, oh well, they have an issue, I don't. And it's interestingly how this oddball that we see in the family has given us a lot of courage to deal with it, even to this day.
Mm-hmm.
Joey's who he is, and it is what it is. That's just the bottom line. And you have to accept your way the way you are. And he has bring a lot of energy to the youth partnership also. I think Joey is the only homosexual that people love, meaning that even though there's people out there who are more in acceptance now, they just love Joey, and they might say, I don't like homosexuals, but I like Joey. I don't have a problem with Joey.
Mm-hmm. I have a lot of friends that say, I never thought I would be friends with a gay person until I met your brother, and I was just like, can't always just stereotype them, they're just like us. They just, doesn't matter who they're in love with, they're just like us.
So whether we're talking about feeling anxiety in the morning, not wanting to wake up, getting to a place where we come home from a very stressful day, something that had really hurt us and has put in us somewhat in that depression level, whether Joey, somebody said something, they saw my mom drunk somewhere, we have fun with it. We actually have gone to a place that we have fun with it. And that's what I want, again, when we reunite at the Youth Partnership and we have our meetings, is to accept us for what we are, do the best that we can from what we are. We are special in our own way. Even if you're twin, there have to be a difference between you and the other person. You're not the same.
Mm-hmm.
and just make the best that you can out of it. But at the house, it's so interestingly the jokes that come. Sometimes not the most nice jokes, because sometimes we are hitting each other pretty hard with the jokes, but we have fun, and I'm so thankful for that. It's so thankful. I cannot even say it. I'm glad that I learned when my son was diagnosed with ADHD at 4, and then from there to the anxiety, to the social anxiety. But I was so thankful then that even though I didn't know what ADHD was ADHD, and learned and the classification to the child study team, and that's when actually the fighting with the school system comes in to make sure your son is receiving the proper education. And we always had fun, and sending that message back, it has always been my goal. And some people accept it better than others. Some people still have the same problem I had at one time. I remember when I was talking to my primary physician about my anxiety and my panic attacks and not being able to sleep, and he says to me, well, why don't you go to counseling? And I said, oh, no. Too many people in Alani County knows me, and they'll know. And I'm afraid of what would it do, because I know they're going to limit this, and they shouldn't have, but I know they are. And that was a process. But he listened to me, and he helped me. And then taking the next step. So even though the kids go through the youth that we work with, it's been a major change. And even at the youth partnership, we have fun. Mm-hmm. When someone comes and I'm like, uh-oh, the anxiety is kicking in, and we all laugh. Or when somebody comes in sad, and okay, sit down, everybody listen, So what happened? And the support, again, I think, besides the education, which is so important, is that support. If you don't have that support, whether it's at home, whether it's in the rec center in the community, whether it's at church, whether it's at school, which I'm so happy to see more and more teen centers at the school that are dealing with stigma. And although we still have kids that will not visit the teen center because now they know there's something different about me, but more kids are having more courage to walk into the teen centers. Even with the youth partnership, we've been around for quite a bit now. And last night, when Brenda was home, mm-hmm. and we were talking about the youth partnership and her son having the age to come into the youth partnership, she says, but you deal with some bad kids too. And I'm like, oh my God, we all bad. I mean, come on, Brenda, mm-hmm. let's talk about the past, and see. So even though we still label, and even though we have made such progress, but I think it's going to be a continued progress. Mm-hmm. We just can't give up.
You got to take it day by day.